Welcome back to Classic Nostalgia Shows, everyone. It's great to have you with us again.
Absolutely, John. This is where we really dive deep into those timeless movies, classic TV, legendary actors, and all those fascinating stories that just keep entertaining us generation after generation.
If you're into classic cinema, vintage television, old westerns, or just love digging into forgotten Hollywood history and the incredible evolution of filmmaking, then you are definitely in the right place.
And today, we're tackling a topic that's, shall we say, a little divisive? One of the most debated subjects in all of movie history, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely, Annie. We're talking about colorized movies. It's funny, some people absolutely love them, can't get enough of seeing their favorites in a new light.
And then others, well, they refuse to watch them. They see it as almost sacrilege to alter a classic. And then you have that middle ground, people who just appreciate having the choice, right?
Exactly. But it makes you wonder, how did colorization even begin? Why did Hollywood suddenly decide to start adding color to these incredible black and white classics? Who championed it? And perhaps more importantly, who fought against it?
And why is this debate still raging decades later? I mean, you'd think by now, with all the technology, we'd have a consensus, but nope, the conversation continues.
So today, we are diving deep into the strange history of colorized movies. Whether you're a purist who prefers the original black and white or someone who enjoys a beautifully restored color edition, the story behind movie colorization is truly just as fascinating as the films themselves.
So grab your popcorn, because we're about to rewind nearly a century and discover how Hollywood tried to add a splash of color to what was once a black and white world. It's going to be a fun journey, John.
It really is. You know, when we think of early motion pictures from the late 1800s, most people just assume they were always strictly black and white. But that's actually not entirely true.
Wait, really? I always pictured those flickering silent films as purely monochrome, so even back then they were thinking about color.
Absolutely. Many filmmakers dreamed of color almost immediately. They understood that audiences wanted movies to look more like real life. The problem was, the technology simply didn't exist yet to capture natural color on film.
So what did they do? If the tech wasn't there, how did they even get close?
Well, they became incredibly creative. Some individual film frames were actually carefully painted by hand. Imagine, Annie, thousands upon thousands of tiny little pictures, each one colored using fine brushes. It was painstaking, meticulous work.
That sounds absolutely insane. Hand painting every single frame? I can't even imagine the time and effort involved in something like that. It must have taken forever for even a short film.
It really did. But the results, for the audiences of the day, were absolutely amazing. Even though these early films contained only limited splashes of color, maybe just a character's dress or a specific prop, they hinted at cinema's vibrant future. It showed a desire for realism and spectacle that was there from the very beginning.
That's incredible to think about, that the dream of color was always there, even when the technology felt light years away. It really puts things into perspective.
Fast forward a couple of decades, into the 1920s and 1930s, and technology had improved dramatically. Studios began experimenting with groundbreaking systems like Technicolor.
Ah, Technicolor. That's a name synonymous with classic Hollywood glamour, isn't it? The vibrancy of those early Technicolor films is just astounding even today.
Absolutely. Movies like The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind weren't just blockbusters, they were showcases. They demonstrated just how breathtaking color photography could be, changing the game entirely.
Oh, The Wizard of Oz especially. That moment when Dorothy steps out of the black and white farmhouse into the glorious Technicolor of Oz. I mean, it's iconic for a reason. Audiences must have been absolutely stunned.
They truly were. Color became associated with spectacle, fantasy, adventure, and of course, musicals. It was a whole new dimension for storytelling. However, there was a catch.
Let me guess, it was expensive, right? Because groundbreaking technology usually comes with a hefty price tag.
Precisely. Color filmmaking remained incredibly expensive. So while it was dazzling, many studios continued producing black and white films because they cost significantly less. Even after color became widely available and perfected, black and white remained the industry standard for many years out of sheer economic necessity.
That's a crucial point, I think, because it's easy to assume that filmmakers wanted color but just couldn't afford it. And sometimes, sure, that was the case, but it wasn't always just about the budget, was it?
No, not at all. Often, black and white wasn't a compromise, it was an artistic decision. Think about film noir, for instance. It relied so heavily on dramatic shadows, the play of light and darkness, to create that specific mood.
Oh, absolutely. Film noir just wouldn't be film noir in color. The stark contrasts, the deep shadows, the rain-slicked streets, it all contributes to that gritty, mysterious atmosphere. Mysteries became so much more atmospheric in black and white, didn't they?
Exactly. And horror films too. They often felt eerier, more suspenseful, when everything was in shades of gray. Directors carefully used light and darkness not just for visual appeal, but to create raw emotion and tension. Without black and white, many classic films simply wouldn't have the same impact.
It's like an additional character in the film, the way they use shadows. Even decades later, you see directors occasionally returning to black and white, not because of budget, but because they believe it better suits their stories. Think Schindler's List or The Artist. They made a deliberate choice.
Those are perfect examples, Annie. It shows that black and white isn't just an artifact of the past. It's a powerful tool in a filmmaker's arsenal even today.
So we've established that color was available, black and white was an artistic choice, and then something remarkable happened in the 1970s and especially the 1980s. Computers entered the scene.
Yes, exactly. Technology finally made something truly groundbreaking possible. Computers could begin adding color to older black and white movies. It was a whole new frontier.
And this wasn't just a simple button press, was it? Like, colorize and poof, it's done. I imagine it was a lot more complex than that, especially back then.
Oh, not at all simple. It was still incredibly labor-intensive. Artists still needed to determine what colors clothing, buildings, vehicles, and backgrounds should become. It wasn't guesswork. It was a lot of research, even for those early attempts.
So, frame by frame, just like those early hand painters, but this time with the help of computers, it sounds like a true collaboration between human artistry and nascent technology.
Precisely. Computers and artists worked together, painstakingly. And the goal, crucially, wasn't to replace the original film. It was about creating an alternative version, offering a different way to experience a classic.
And for many viewers, especially those who grew up with color television and movies, seeing familiar classics like It's a Wonderful Life or Miracle on 34th Street in color for the first time must have felt almost magical. It was a revelation for some.
It truly was. It opened up these films to a whole new audience. But, as you alluded to earlier, Annie, this is where the great debate really began.
Oh, here we go. This is where opinions started clashing big time. On one side, you had supporters who truly believed colorization was a fantastic way to introduce classic films to younger audiences. Their argument was, if someone refused to watch black and white movies, maybe a color version would encourage them to discover a forgotten masterpiece.
That was a very strong point, actually. It was seen as an access point, a bridge. But on the other side, opponents strongly disagreed. And these weren't just casual viewers. Many filmmakers themselves argued that their work had been carefully designed for black and white, that it was an integral part of their artistic vision.
Right, changing it, in their eyes, fundamentally altered that artistic vision. I remember hearing stories about legendary directors like Frank Capra and Woody Allen publicly criticizing colorization. They felt it was disrespectful, that classic movies should remain exactly as they were originally photographed.
Indeed. The debate became one of Hollywood's most passionate and at times heated discussions. It wasn't just about technology, it was about art, preservation, and respect for the creators.
And what did the actual movie fans think about all of this? Because, interestingly, audiences themselves were completely divided. It wasn't a clear-cut yes or no from the public.
That's right, Annie. Some absolutely loved colorized classics. They found a new appreciation for films they might have initially dismissed. For them, it brought a freshness to old favorites.
But then, others steadfastly refused to watch them. They stuck to their guns, saying the original is the only way to watch it. I know my grandfather was one of those. He would never ever watch a colorized version of Casablanca.
That's a common sentiment. However, many families actually enjoyed introducing younger generations to old favorites through colorized editions. It made those films more accessible to kids who might be put off by black and white.
Yeah, I think that's where I fell in the middle. I'd watch both versions. I appreciated the new take, but I always went back to the original to see it as intended. Others insisted the originals remained unmatched, and I totally get that perspective too.
It's fascinating how subjective it all is, and in many ways that discussion about preference and artistic integrity continues today, even with vastly improved technology.
Speaking of technology, that's another area where people have a lot of misconceptions. Modern audiences often assume computers simply guess the colors, right? Like a quick algorithm decides what shade of red a car should be.
It's a common assumption, but the reality is far, far more complicated and nuanced. It's not just a computer randomly picking colors. There's a tremendous amount of human input and research involved.
So it's not just a digital paint by numbers? What's the process like then? How do they even begin to decide what color something should be if it was originally filmed in black and white?
No, not at all. It's surprisingly artistic and incredibly meticulous. Artists involved in colorization projects actually research clothing styles from the era, military uniforms, historic automobiles, furniture, architecture, even weather conditions from the time and place the film was set.
Wow, so they're basically doing historical detective work. They're not just coloring, they're trying to recreate reality based on historical context.
Exactly. Historical photographs from the period often guide their decisions. Many modern colorization projects involve extensive historical research before a single frame even receives color. The process remains surprisingly artistic and dedicated to accuracy, not just aesthetics.
That makes so much more sense. It's not just slapping color on, it's an informed, educated choice. And I imagine artificial intelligence has really transformed this whole process in recent years, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. AI has been a game changer. Today's software can analyze enormous numbers of images, learning color patterns and context. It can recognize faces, clothing, landscapes, and even intricate lighting conditions with incredible accuracy.
So the AI can do a lot of the initial heavy lifting, almost predicting what colors things should be based on its vast dataset. That must speed things up tremendously compared to the old manual methods.
It does, but here's the crucial part. Artists then refine those results. While computers complete much of the grunt work, human judgment remains absolutely essential. The best restorations and colorizations combine the power of advanced technology with the invaluable touch of historical accuracy and artistic sensibility.
So it's not entirely automated, which is probably a good thing. You still need that human eye to ensure it looks right and feels appropriate. And I imagine not every film benefits equally from colorization, right?
You hit the nail on the head. Some films really shine with color, while others, well, they might lose a bit of their original magic. For instance, adventure films often appear incredibly vibrant when colorized, really popping off the screen.
Oh, I can see that. Westerns too, right? They could truly showcase those beautiful sweeping landscapes, making them feel even grander. And war films, I imagine, could gain a lot of realism, making the impact of the historical events feel more immediate.
Exactly. And family films sometimes feel more inviting, more approachable to a wider audience when they're in color. But on the other hand, certain horror movies, classic film noir, and those intense dramatic thrillers often rely heavily on the starkness of black and white photography.
Right, their atmosphere changes dramatically when color is added. That deep shadow in a film noir, which is so essential to the mood, might just look like a dark patch in a color version. It's a different experience, not necessarily wrong, but definitely different.
Exactly. Neither version is necessarily wrong, they're simply different experiences. It really highlights the artistic choices made by the original filmmakers.
And there's another point that often gets confused, which is the difference between restoration and colorization. A lot of people use them interchangeably, but they're actually quite different processes, aren't they?
They are indeed, and it's an important distinction to make. Restoration is about repairing damaged film, removing scratches, improving sharpness, stabilizing images, and correcting fading. Think of it as meticulous digital surgery to bring a film back to its original glory.
So, restoration is about preserving and perfecting what's already there, ensuring the original vision is seen as clearly as possible. It's about bringing it up to modern standards of visual quality without changing its fundamental nature.
Exactly. Colorization, on the other hand, is the process of adding color to a film that was originally produced in black and white. So a movie can be beautifully restored, meaning all the scratches are gone, the image is sharp, while remaining completely black and white.
And conversely, a colorized movie may also undergo extensive restoration. So you can have a film that was black and white, then colorized, and then also restored to fix any damage. They're two separate, albeit sometimes complementary processes.
Precisely. Both processes, in their own way, help preserve cinema history, but they achieve very different outcomes. Understanding that difference is key to appreciating both the work involved and the intent behind each.
And this brings us to one of the most fascinating benefits of colorization, which is accessibility. Many younger viewers, and even some older ones, hesitate when they see a black and white film. It can feel like a barrier to entry, can't it?
It absolutely can. For some, black and white signals old or boring, which is a real shame because they're missing out on incredible storytelling. Colorization can sometimes break down that initial resistance.
Yeah, exactly. Yet, after watching a colorized version, they often become curious enough to explore the original black and white. It's like, oh, this story is actually really good. I wonder what it looks like in its original form.
That's a fantastic point. Rather than replacing classic cinema, colorization sometimes serves as a doorway into it. It's a way to spark interest, to make these timeless stories more palatable for a generation accustomed to vibrant, full-color visuals.
And that's such an important perspective that's often overlooked during these debates, isn't it? It's not about erasing the past, but about building a bridge to it for new audiences.
Absolutely. It really opens up the conversation about how we introduce and preserve these cinematic treasures.
So maybe the best solution isn't about choosing sides then, is it? It's not about saying black and white is superior or colorized is the only way to go. Perhaps the best approach is simply preserving both.
I think that's the most pragmatic and respectful approach, Annie. The original black and white version should always remain available, absolutely untouched, as the definitive artistic statement.
And then the colorized edition can exist as another valid way to experience the story. It offers an alternative perspective, a different lens through which to enjoy the film.
Exactly. Viewers can then decide which they prefer, which version resonates most with them at any given time. Ultimately, having choices benefits film lovers everywhere. It respects both the historical integrity and the evolving tastes of audiences.
It's about expanding access and appreciation, rather than limiting it. And looking ahead, I imagine technology is just going to keep improving, making colorization even more sophisticated.
That's definitely the trend. Artificial intelligence continues to grow more sophisticated every year. Future restorations and colorizations will likely become even more detailed, more historically accurate, and visually stunning than anything we've seen so far.
So we're talking hyper-realistic color, perfectly matched to historical context, almost indistinguishable from if it had been filmed in color originally.
Potentially, yes, but regardless of how technologically advanced we become, one principle should always remain at the forefront: respect for the original filmmakers. Their work deserves preservation in its authentic form.
That's the absolute cornerstone, isn't it? Colorization should celebrate cinema history, enhancing our connection to it, not replacing or erasing the original artistic intent.
Precisely. It should be an homage, an additional way to appreciate these masterpieces.
The story of colorized movies really is a fascinating journey, and it's also, in many ways, the story of our evolving relationship with film itself. It brings up so many questions, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. How do we preserve history? How do we introduce these classics to new audiences in a way that respects the original? Can technology honor the past while embracing the future?
And you know what? There may never be one perfect answer to those questions, but perhaps that's exactly what makes this whole conversation so endlessly fascinating. The debate itself is part of the cinematic journey.
Couldn't agree more. Whether you love your black and white classics in their pristine original form, or you enjoy beautifully colorized restorations, or even if you appreciate both, one thing remains absolutely certain.
These remarkable films continue entertaining audiences decades, even nearly a century after they were first created. And honestly, John, that's something every single movie lover can celebrate.
Hear, hear. Thank you for joining us for another journey through Hollywood history here on Classic Nostalgia Shows. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast.
Yes, do it. Every week we celebrate classic movies, vintage television, forgotten Hollywood stories, old westerns, war films, and all that timeless entertainment that continues bringing generations together.
Before we go, we'd love to hear your opinion on this enduring debate. Do you prefer classic movies in their original black and white, or do you enjoy watching colorized versions?
Let us know in the comments below. We love reading your thoughts. Until next time,
Keep celebrating the classics,
keep discovering forgotten treasures.
and we'll see you at the movies.